What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Ask Our Vet series, live from the Earth Animal Studios. This is show 30. Crazy how time goes by. Hey, Sue, how are you? Yeah, it's good to be back. Sorry, we skipped a week. We did have a great show for those who tuned in with Stevie the Wonder Dog and Albert on Wheels a couple weeks ago. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I thought it was really good. Oh yeah, thanks, Michael, on the tunes. Hi, Abby. So again, welcome to the show. We're going to do question and answer today. So whatever's on your mind, I'd like to talk about. We're going to do. I think we need to get a. We've had to ramp up our COVID report. For a while we had. There wasn't much to say, right? As we went on through the summer and into the later summer and early fall. But obviously, as everyone's looking in the news and everything else, the cases are obviously rapidly rising, right? So I think we have to get back to talking about doing what we can and social distancing, and obviously with Thanksgiving coming up, that poses a lot of problems for doing any sort of traditional Thanksgiving, and I realize that it's challenging. As veterinarians, we're still doing curbside, and we had hoped that at this point we'd go backwards. We'd start to be able, people would come in the building, and we'd start to, especially now with the cold weather coming, right? But we're now forced to kind of stay the course as the cases are really rising here in Connecticut and everywhere. A few times a week I check on the total cases, and I just for my own knowledge and for the show, and just what a difference a week makes when you're in the middle of this pandemic. Last week, for example, there was about, and if you remember, a month ago we had about 200. We were on the rise, 200,000 new cases in a week. Now last week we're at 800,000 new cases in the U.S. And skip to the last 7 days this week, and it's over a million. It's approaching over 1.2 million in a week. We had 170,000 in a day yesterday, the day before. So it's really on the rise. I don't know how many of you heard the just absolutely awful news about the mink farms in Denmark? I mean, again, why we're farming mink is beyond me to begin with. But with that aside, that the COVID virus had mutated in the mink population there, and had then gone and infected some of the workers there. I think they had about 200 cases of this mutated virus, and there wasn't a lot of details on what the signs were with it and how but I think the signs were similar. But with the mutated virus, the worry was that if it got out of Denmark and started to spread, that mutated virus would not be as amenable to the vaccines they've already produced, right? So that was, now they think they have contained it, and they had to obviously do mass euthanasias in these mink farms. It's just a tragic story all around. I mean, it's awful. But good news on the front, right, is that we have two of the companies that have come out that are with the vaccines, Pfizer, Moderna. It looks like they're upwards of 95% effective. Okay, so that is good news in all of this, right? And really, I think our kind of sense of normalcy and getting back is really going to depend on how the vaccinations are doing, how they're going, how many they have, and as we get into and through next year, if we can get good vaccination protocols going, I think that ultimately is really what's going to significantly put an end to this. And I know we can all just not wait for that. I mean, it's just it's been challenging, and admittedly, even I'm always on here talking about positivity and everything, and it's hard in something like this. It's I find myself sometimes saying, we're stepping backwards, not forwards. But it's really important that, again, try to have a positive outlook, and I had a lot of sick animals today at the clinic. We were outside, we had a lot of sick animals, and there are days where this job can be, all puppies and kittens, right? And it can really, you can just walk out of there elated. And then there are other days where you see a lot of very sick animals, which was the case with me today. And you walk out deflated, right? It's definitely not easy. And it's not easy when you're also, in this, kind of world that we're living in too. So, but I am very happy to be on here. I'm very happy to be with you guys. And, talking vet medicine, which I love. Let's see who's checking in. Hey, Nicole, thanks for checking in. Hey, Sue. The other thing that I wanted to do is, so we always do a Earth Animal of the Week, right? It can be a person, can be an animal. And we, because we're all Earth animals, right? So this week, I'm going to be a little selfish this week. We had, last week, we lost our 13-year-old dog, Monty, who was an amazing dog, and just a really good family dog. Got along with everybody, got along with dogs, got along with cats, just loved people. And he's been sick for the past 2 years that we've been treating him. And he just had he thrived. He's had cancer for 2 years. And his quality of life has been really good, right up until last week. And I'll show you a picture of him, but he really was inspirational. There's Monty right there. There's his friend. He's with his friend Susan right there. We have to give her a plug too, I guess. But there's Monty. And so we had to say goodbye to Monty, but he was an amazing dog for 13 years, and I thought I'd give him a shout out today because we as a family, and I know even anybody, friends and family and our staff at the hospital are really going to miss him. So. But I will tell you, he was, again, 13 years old and had, even sick the last 2 years, had a really high quality of life and a really good outlook. Let's see. Yeah, thank you. And, again, a lot of good memories with him, and he really, he was a great guy. So he was a good friend, Michael. Thanks. Couple little plugs to talk about for next week. So next week we're gonna do something a little different, right? Obviously we usually do this on Thursdays. Well, next Thursday is Thanksgiving, so we're not gonna do that. But what I thought we'd do, and certainly if you guys are interested, I thought we'd do one of the biggest nights to go out typically for a lot of people is the Wednesday night before Thanksgiving. There's people traveling, friends are in town, so. What I thought we'd do, because a lot of people aren't going to be traveling, a lot of people aren't going to be going out, but I thought we'd do a happy hour. So we're going to do the show a little bit later. I thought 6 o'clock, right? And we will, you can have your favorite cocktail, wine, beer, or cocktail, and we'll all just, what I want to talk about next week is I want to talk about couple different things. Some of the things that I'm now seeing, now that we've been in COVID for these many months, some of the kind of things, these emergent things that I'm seeing that I think are a direct result with animals. Some things about weight, some things about anxieties and things. So I want to talk about that. And then we're going to talk about, just some stories and things and that I see with animals post-holidays, okay? So I think it'll be a good show. It'll definitely be informative. And obviously, as always, we will take your questions, all right? One of the things that I did want to mention today, and I was wondering if anybody wanted to, if anybody who has any pets with allergies could chime in, and we talked a little bit about this last time, but I am still seeing, even this far into the fall, and normally, it's gotten cold here the last couple days, but it's really been obviously very mild. This fall in particular, I am still seeing a lot of allergic dogs, a lot of dogs that usually have fall allergies that go away by this point, and some cats with allergies too, but it's still, even today, still continuing to see skin problems. And I was just wondering if anybody who has a normally allergic pet, if you're still seeing that with them. I think it's really interesting because, again, normally, one of the things that a lot of people don't realize about veterinary medicine is there's a lot of seasonality to things. We see certain things in different times of the year. And obviously allergies are a big part of that because, from the time spring hits and you start to get new growth on the trees and the grass is coming in, till we get through that initial early fall where you have, the weeds and, ragweed and goldenrod and things like that are growing in abundance in late August through September. But usually those things come, and they usually by the end of September, even into October, go away. And it to me, it's amazing how many skin problems we are still continuing to see, and how many itchy dogs and some cats, like I said, that are coming in. Sue, I was wondering I saw you had a question, but I didn't understand that question. So if you could just rephrase it, I guess. Yeah, and Michael, is he itchy? Is mustache itchy, or no? Is that starting to subside? And you're in a little bit different. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's definitely because what happens is they itch. Obviously, they break their skin, and then they get opportunistic bacteria that grow. So they get a dermatitis, right? So then oftentimes you have to clear that up as well as try to manage their itching as well, right? How cold is it? How cold is it in Pittsburgh? Has it gotten pretty cold? It's cold here today for sure. So anyway, anybody have any questions on any other stuff? We'll go over that. Um, yeah, I think it's just hopefully, Michael, it's just starting to wind down. Um, the other thing that I've been seeing, when we first started to, and we're gonna expand on this next week. But the other thing that I have been, hey Martha, thanks for checking in. How's the cat, Martha? How's the kitten? Um, One of the things that I have also been seeing, when COVID first hit, I think a lot of people were getting out with their pets. I don't know if you guys saw that. Saw the commercial. I forgot who it was for, but it was a dog that was so excited because the owner was like, "Come on, we'll go. We'll go. We'll take you for a walk." So excited, and then one other family member was like, "Let's go for a walk." And by the fifth walk, the dog was covering its face with its paws, didn't want to go. So I actually saw a lot of animals at the beginning lose some weight, and it's interesting. I think but that switch is kind of flipped as we've gone now deeper into the pandemic, deeper into kind of a lot of the social distancing. It's an interesting thing that I'm seeing more. Even some of those pets that lost weight have gained some back towards the end. Now where we are now. So I want to touch on that and a couple other things next week. All right, Sue. All right, I'm looking to get another dog. I have a female. Is there a better combination, or does it really matter? Male, female, or female, female, or does it not really matter? So I talk about this all the time with clients, and they ask me, and I've had personally, Sue, I've had all different combinations because I've had I've had a ton of animals, obviously, in my life, and so. I don't believe it really does matter. I do think because we had a bulldog and a French bulldog at one point, both of which were females, and they were very, very alpha and dominant and did not get along for most of their lives. They tolerated each other, but we'd have kind of dust ups, right? But currently, I have two female adopted dogs, and from, completely different areas of the country, everything else, got them, didn't get them as small puppies, got them, as puppies, but almost at a year, and they get along fantastically. So I don't think it really matters. I think it's more about the dogs themselves, and whether you're having two very alpha animals, or just they're easy, more easygoing. Or one is alpha and the other one prefers not to try to take that role, right? So personally, I've had all different combinations, and I think it's more about their kind of the animal's core, personality, than really just male, female, female, male. All right. Yeah, Nicole, I think, one of the things, there's a lot, I'll tell you what, and this does make sense too. The primary, the reason why most animals lick their paws, you're welcome, Sue. The reason why most animals lick their paws is because you have the pollen, you have, and right now, obviously, the trees, the leaves, it's been rainy up here. The trees have dropped, the leaves are all over. We've had a lot of wind and rain. And so what happens is the pollen and things and these, settles on the ground. So when they walk, they're allergic to the pollen. So that inhalant, all right, allergy really almost becomes a contact allergy. And so then they'll come in and they start licking and chewing underneath their paws. And right now, interestingly, that's probably the number one thing that I'm seeing with my atopic dermatitis, my allergy dogs. It's probably the number one thing is I'm seeing a lot of animals coming in and licking their paws. And I just think, again, it's because there's still a lot of leaves on the ground. They're still falling. And I was walking around the backyard at the clinic, and I was in an area where there's some leaves that fell, and I was just kind of kicking through the leaves, and I immediately, 2 minutes into it, just started sneezing and rubbing my eyes because I had kicked up whatever was settled in there. So it's still around. I mean, we did have a frost the other day, but you like to get a few frosts, and that really kind of dies that down. The other thing that I'm seeing still a lot of, and especially recently, is fleas and ticks. So everybody should make sure that their guys are protected. And for some reason, just a big uptick in the last week or so with fleas. And the ticks are always there, especially up here. But we're still seeing a decent amount of that, because again, it's just not getting cold. Hey, Maureen. Thank you, Maureen. I'm glad everybody's watching. All right, let's see. Yeah, so Sue, that's a good question, right? We can get into that a little bit. And Monty had pretty bad atopic dermatitis, and he really manifested that by licking his paws. All right, and what I did, and what I tell people to do is, when you come in, you wipe the paws, and sensitive baby wipes even work. Okay, it's really just about, you don't want to use anything with too much fragrance. You don't want to obviously use anything that's going to dry it out, but a sensitive baby wipe, and just to wipe the paws, and then and then just quickly dry them. Usually it goes a long way to help, because again, you're getting that contact and the pollen off of those, right? And hopefully that's going to be significantly slowing down here in the future, in the near future. With the allergies as well, and when they lick the paws, they oftentimes also keep them wet, right? And that's another problem that comes up, is that they're continuing to lick, and that a lot of times they'll chew at night. You'll notice, okay? They'll chew during the day too, but if they've been out multiple times, it's kind of a cumulative effect, and then then all of a sudden at night they really start to get itchy. So And with that comes them, if they chew them incessantly, then they wet them, and then you get the secondary infections, and that's why it becomes a vicious cycle, right? You get this, it stays wet, you get bacteria in there, you get infection, it gets more itchy, and they chew. So definitely getting that pollen off after you come in from a walk, it helps. And some of them need help during the seasons, right? With natural remedies, and if they do get infections, we obviously prescribe antibiotics. Sometimes we'll soak their feet. There's a lot of different things to do, but I have noticed, again, this has been a long season, but in addition to that, I think I've noticed several of the past couple years have been almost later and later, because it does seem like our seasons are just morphing or changing a little bit. Right. So that's a really good question. I think it's something I get a lot at the clinic, and even more and more now, because we're seeing so much of it. All right. Anybody have any more questions? Kind of a short show today, but if anybody has anything to ask, we can hang on here. I would love it if people could. Hopefully that 6 o'clock time frame will work for everybody. Or whoever can join next week. Be a little bit later, and hopefully, the discussion will be good. We'll do questions as well. All right, Sue. Sue. So as far as the holistic and natural stuff, Earth Animal has a great line. Their Nature's Protection line. I don't think I have any here, but they have them. It's at earthanimal.com. You can get it at various places. You can get it obviously at your independent retailer. And it comes. They have collars. They have spot-ons, and it's natural. Okay, and certainly if I was seeking out something natural and holistic, that's the one I would recommend. So Maureen, that's another good question. Bathing dogs, right, with allergies. So there's not really one set amount that we'll bathe them with, okay? Oh, you're welcome, Sue. There's not really one set amount. It varies, but it's a good question, Maureen. And certainly, first of all, you want to use, when you bathe them, you want to make sure that you're using a hypoallergenic shampoo, okay? And some animals aren't just itchy; they'll have other things. So sometimes, as veterinarians, we cater the shampoo to the condition, right? Some animals have a lot of dry skin or seborrhea, so you use an anti-seborrheic shampoo, not necessarily a hypoallergenic, right? So it does vary, but just in general, if they're doing pretty well, but they have some allergies and they tend to get a little more itchy, just a hypoallergenic hydrating shampoo. And certainly, as long as they don't have any other skin things or anything else, in the summer once a month, okay. Some animals every 2 to 4 weeks, depending on how they are. All right, but I think that does. Hey Shannon, thanks for watching. How are the ears? How's everybody's ears? So it does vary, and it does depend on the amount that you're going to do it, but as kind of a general, if they're doing okay, but it is in the summer where the pollen counts are high, every once a month is about right. And if they're really, really itchy animals but otherwise their skin is okay, they're just itchy, maybe every 2 to 4. All right. So that's a good question. That's a really good question. So how are the boys, Shannon? Ears are much better? Good to hear. Good to hear. And you made out okay with the meds, huh? Good. Good. All right. Anybody have any other questions? All right. So we'll keep it a little bit of a short show today, but again, let's, everyone, if they can, tune in next week. I think it's going to be a good conversation. We can all just have, have a cocktail, pre-Thanksgiving cocktail, have some good discussion. And then one of the other interesting things I just want to tell you guys is so now those of you who watched our our show a couple weeks ago saw that we have now we're doing a multi-person format. So probably once a month we're going to have guests in. My kind of ultimate goal is to do the Ask Me Anything once a month. We're going to do some forums where we have multiple people, and for you, and we'll cover a topic and have you ask them questions. And then what we'll be doing, like we are next week, some topics that will kind of, timely topics that we're going to pick. But when we get into December, we are going to do a veterinarian roundtable. So I'm going to have some of my colleagues on. We'll cover various things, and then we are going to, and then we'll take questions as a group. So that'll be interesting. I think it'll be cool, and I've gotten some of my vet school classmates and colleagues to come on. So I think you guys will really enjoy that. All right, so don't forget, we're going to change up next Wednesday, 6 o'clock. We're going to do a special happy hour version of the Ask Our Vet. All right, everybody. Listen, stay safe, social distance, wear your masks. Let's just get through this together. All right. Thank you, Sue. Great questions, by the way. Thanks a lot. We'll see you next Wednesday at 6. All right, everybody. Stay safe. See you next week.